welcome to episode 19 of the YarnderWoman podcast. My name is Melinda. I am known as YarnderWoman on Ravelry and Instagram, and today is Sunday the 12th of April 2015. I'm coming to you as always from Perth in Western Australia, and I hope you've had a wonderful couple of weeks. We had Easter last weekend. I hope everyone had a lovely time who celebrated that or just had a lovely weekend otherwise. We have a 4-day weekend here in Australia for Easter. We have the Friday and the Monday surrounding Easter Sunday as public holidays, so that's a really nice treat every year to have a 4-day holiday. It was really lovely here though the previous week, so just after I recorded last time, I actually got quite sick and was off work for 3 days. I think I caught something off one of my lovely fellow passengers when I was coming back from my work trip to Canberra. So that was a bit difficult. I did get a bit of knitting done, so that was one thing, but it made the week even busier from having been away from work the previous week for the trip and then being off most of the week and having public holidays. So this week I've been trying to catch up on things and I've been getting there, so it's okay. But the week that I was off sick and leading up until Easter was lovely. We were still having almost summer weather. It was about 30 degrees Celsius, which I think is about 86 Fahrenheit. But from Easter Monday and all of this week, it's like we've just missed autumn and gone straight into winter. It's been raining and grey and a bit miserable. Not quite cold temperatures. It's about 22 today, which I think I looked up was about 70, in the 70s. Can't remember exactly. But yeah, raining, miserable. I hung out my washing yesterday for 5 minutes of sunshine and it got wet again. So hopefully we might get a bit of autumn weather again, or I say again as in like last year at one point, but maybe not. We just seem to go from summer to winter and then back into summer in Perth, but that's okay, you know, there are worse things. So I hope everyone else has had a good time. I've got quite a bit to show you today, so it's quite exciting. So let's go on and broach the subject. Today's brooch I believe I have shown you before, but it's quite thematic for our pop culture cal and to go with my t-shirts. So we have Batman and Pow, and these are from Madame Hibou on Etsy. And Madame Hibou is actually sponsoring one of our giveaways, so I'll be speaking a little bit more about that Etsy shop during our prizes segment. So I really love this because it's beautiful hand-worked felt, and then having the little separate Pow bubble just makes it even more special. So I'm very, very much a fan of that. And it was also given to me by a very good friend slash colleague. So it's got that extra nice emotional link to it. And in terms of my t-shirt, this is, I'll just lean back a bit, the Dark Knight but knit. And he's making a scarf, which is just awesome. And this is from the Etsy shop Hey That's Super, and they are also sponsoring one of our prize draws. They're one of our sponsors for our Pop Culture Cal, so again, I'll speak a bit more about them later. But, you know, it's also a very good weekend for me to be getting all Batman-y because there's actually the Oz Comic Con convention in Perth this weekend. This is the first year I haven't been to a Comic Con that has been in Perth, so it's a bit sad. But I have a family commitment later today, and yesterday I had some other things that I just had to do, so I unfortunately wasn't able to go. Damien is volunteering the whole time, so he's running the queue for the autograph station, so he gets to stand near some of the celebrities and guests that are coming, so that's kind of a cool job. Doesn't actually get to interact with them that much, but he can, you know, walk up and down and be near them, so that's still fun. And it's nice to be able to help people out and direct them and make their convention day a bit more exciting or easier in as much as it can be when you have to line up for things. Sophie went yesterday, and I'm going to show you one of the things that she wore because I actually knit it, so that's exciting. And I'll just have to wait until June because there's the Supernova convention in June, and Damien will actually be exhibiting there, so it'll be a totally new experience again, but at least I'll be able to go and as well as helping him out, be there as part of the action. So this is my attempt at getting geeked up for the weekend because I couldn't make it to the convention. So we have our pop culture knit along, crochet along, spin along, fibre along going at the moment. So that's going for all of April and all of May, so until the 31st. We've already got some finished objects in the FO thread, which is very exciting. And I just wanted to clarify that it's running for 2 months, so that's quite a long period, but it's not meant to be a pressure. So if you just want to participate, but you don't think that you'd be able to finish that project, and so you think, oh, I won't bother, don't. You can still join in, because I'm going to be drawing prizes from both the finished objects thread as well as the chatter thread. So if you want to do some, I don't know, really massive big project and you just don't think you'll finish it by May, still do it if you want to, no pressure. But still do it, and come and chat in the chatter thread, post some photos of your progress, and you can still be in it to win it. And even if you're not interested in winning a prize, it's still good to join in. So I'll be drawing some prizes, as I said, from the chatter thread and then also from the FO thread, because I want to reward both types of participation and make it fun for everyone, because everyone has different motivations and different time availability. So come and have a look at what's going on there. If you're not sure about what to make, there are some great ideas being discussed in the chatter thread. And also remember that you don't have to be a fan of the particular franchise that you're referencing in your knitting. So, some basic socks, such as the Hermione's Everyday Socks, you don't have to have watched Harry Potter and be a big fan of the show to make them. It's just having that reference there. So same with if you're using a yarn that's a reference to something, you don't have to be a fan. No one's going to be checking that. So the rules, or the ways to participate, is to use a yarn that has a pop culture reference in the colourway name, and or to use a pattern that has a pop culture reference. Now, if you use both, then you get to post twice in the finished objects thread. So we have some lovely Frozen inspired socks in the finished objects thread that were actually won as part of one of our previous giveaways. And very correctly, there's 2 posts, so 2 photos. They can be the same photo or they can be different photos, and then that gives you 1 entry for the yarn and 1 entry for the pattern. So if you just are using something where you're just using a pattern or a yarn, then you just enter that once for finished and it's all good. So come along and join in, because we've got lots of wonderful prizes which I'll tell you about in the next section. I am very excited to tell you all about the prizes that we have for our craft along, starting with a set of mini skeins in the Avengers colourway from No Makers. Thank you very much, No Makers, for that generous donation. Those are a hot ticket item and include some of the new colourways that Amanda has just released, so that's very exciting. Secondly, we have from Hey That's Super, who make this dark knit t-shirt. They have sent us a very bright and pop culture coloured tote bag that says Hey That's Super. And then here we've got the dark knit badge, and standing on his head is a temporary tattoo of Wolverine, wool for sheep. So thank you very much for that donation. Excuse me looking at my notes because we've got so many things to offer. We have SoFlo on Etsy, who does a lot of pop culture inspired fabrics on their project bags. They are going to give us a $20 voucher as a prize, so the winner will be able to choose something from the shop. We also have from I'm Made on Etsy a beautiful Star Wars fabric project bag that will be also sent directly to the winner. And we will also have some prints from DKS Art and Design, a local Perth-based artist named Damien. And you will be able to choose some A4 prints of what he's got on offer as well. So very exciting, and I'll put a photo in of the prizes that I don't have to show you in person right here. We've also got some very generous discount codes from some of our sponsors. So Hey That's Super is offering 15% off in their store on any purchase using the code YarnderWoman. And I'm Made is offering 20% off of anything in their store with also the code YarnderWoman. I'll put all the links in the show notes. And SoFlo will be giving us a discount code for May. They're doing some shows in person this month, so they won't have a lot on offer in their Etsy shop. but they'll be stocking up again in May and giving us a discount then. So we have some generous prizes waiting, but if you just can't hold on, go and make use of that discount code and buy yourself some fun stuff. And we also have an 1100 member giveaway going in our Ravelry thread. So exciting. I can't believe we're all here together. It's wonderful. So I mentioned earlier in broaching the subject that this brooch here from Batman is the same person who's sponsoring our current giveaway. So Madame Hibou, this is the spelling in beautiful shiny writing. She so generously donated to us a Frida Kahlo brooch. Oh, so cute. I've got to tell you guys, it's hard for me to give this away. As much as I love you all, I love this brooch too. She also comes with a little heart-shaped brooch, which is so prettily attached here, but you can see if I flip it over, it is actually a brooch as well. And Frida lives in this little packet here. So go to the Ravelry thread. I've asked which character, real or in fiction, that you would like a brooch made out of. And I will draw that at the end of May using random number generator. And this little Frida could be yours. I have a few finished objects to show you, which is very exciting. First off is something that I made last June, I think it was. But that Sophie wore to the comic convention yesterday, as I mentioned. So this, now it's a bit hard to show, it's very big. This is a Red Riding Hood cloak. So there's the hood, and here's the cloak. Oh, it's very big, using super bulky yarn. I believe it was in Serta Chunky in a cherry colourway. And then, because I made it in June and then I wanted Sophie to be able to try it on before I got the closures, I only actually attached these the other day because by the time we went to choose them, it was then much too warm for her to wear it. So now that it's coming into the winter weather, we got them. So I got these little toggles because she wanted something looking a bit, you know, old worldy to go with it. But there's not a lot to actually attach it to. So I think with the weight of the heavy yarn, it's actually pulled them out a bit. So I'll have to give them a more solid stitching, but I just wanted to do them so that she could wear it as her costume. So she went as Little Dead Riding Hood, and she's got a very cool t-shirt with Little Red Riding Hood and the wolf, and really Red Riding Hood is winning that particular fight. I won't go into detail in case there's younger ears listening or watching. But yes, so she wore that yesterday, and she was saying in preparation that she'd be telling everyone, this was knit for me, hand knit for me. So I was like, yes, that's the attitude to have. Because a while ago, like a month or so ago, she was wearing the little rainbow wristers that I made for her, and she was saying how I should, you know, make lots of them and I could sell them. I said, well, yes, but the amount of time and effort it takes to make them, as well as the cost of the nice hand-dyed yarn, it wouldn't be, I would have to, you know, price them much higher than young people would want to pay, because she was saying, you know, that all her friends and people she know would want them. And she said, well, Mel, I don't mean to be rude, but I think you value time differently to other people. I said, exactly. And that doesn't mean that I should devalue the things that are being made. It just means that that's not, for the particular item of little wristers, people don't want to pay. And we were going back and forth, and she wasn't grasping what I was trying to say and just thought I was being precious about it. She didn't mean it to be rude at all. She just wasn't grasping what I meant. And then Damien came up with a very good analogy, because he is an artist and Sophie is interested in comics and original art and all that sort of thing as well, so she understands that concept. He said that a hand knit item is sort of like an original piece of artwork. And some people want to buy an original piece of artwork and pay the money and are willing and recognise the time and energy and the creation that went into it. But someone like Sophie's friends that she was referring to only want a print of that artwork. So he said, you know, hand knit versus commercially made is like a piece of original art compared to a print. And that made sense to her, and I thought that was a great analogy, because she was telling me I should just make a whole lot and sell them for $5 a pair, and I was like, it wouldn't be worth my time. So now she definitely understands, and she's always loved what I knitted, don't get me wrong, there's nothing untoward there in terms of her her valuing of it, but now she understands completely what it means to have something hand knit and the time and value. And so I was very pleased that she was very pleased to have a hand knit Little Dead Riding Hood cloak. My first finished item that I want to show you from the past fortnight has been a long time in coming, and I can actually show you the whole thing of him, and here he is. It's the Brachiosaurus. Isn't he cute? If I do say so myself, let me pull him back because he's getting a little bit washed out. But I am so happy with him. I'm so happy he's finished, and I just think he's so cute. I'm trying to show you his eyes. Sorry, there's a bit of shadow coming through because I have my iPad set up on a music stand, and the little holes in the music stand are making a shadow. But so I just did his eyes with some embroidery thread and did a little French knot and then a little stitch above them, which I think worked really well for the shape. So he's knit all in one piece and stuffed as you go, and then you knit the legs and then attach them separately. And as I was saying last time, I really hope I've attached them well enough because he's going to get a lot of love if it's anything like the snail that I made for my little nephew who this is going to. So the pattern, I have completely blanked as to who designed it, but it's a free pattern on Ravelry, and I'm very pleased with it. I had no problems with the pattern. I think it was really well written, very informative, so I'd definitely make another one again. I had thoughts of making another one in time for my nephew's birthday, but that didn't happen, but I can definitely pull this one out again. The yarn is Cyborg's Craft Room on Etsy, and the colourway is Mai Tai, so lovely yellows, oranges, reds. And I just love the way it's knit up, so I am very, very pleased with that. And this afternoon, it's actually my nephew's birthday party, so he'll be getting this today. So I'll take some photos of him receiving it to show you for next time as well. And the next finished object uses the same yarn. I knit a little baby beanie. So when I was in Canberra, one of my colleagues from another state saw me knitting, and she and her wife were expecting, and asked if I would knit her a little baby hat. And I thought, oh yes, I could definitely do that. And when I finished the dinosaur, I thought, oh, I've got quite a bit of yarn left, and that this would make a really nice work for either gender kind of hat, because I don't know what they're having, a boy or girl. So this pattern, again, I'm terrible, I can't remember who designed it, but again, it's a free pattern on Ravelry, and all the info will be in my Ravelry page. And very, very basic, just rolled brims. So I think I held 2 needles together just to get a bit of a bigger cast on, just to make it a bit more stretchy. And then you can roll it up to whatever length you want. Or I guess you could have a saggy, slouchy hipster look, but yeah, you can roll it up because it's more towards a newborn size, maybe a little bit bigger. So I'm very pleased with that one. And my final finished object I'm very excited to show you because I've been working on those for a little while as well, and they are my socks, made with the gorgeous turtle pearl yarn, self-striping in the Gothic Plum colourway that I was so generously sent to review. So I'm going to do a proper review of these for you next time because I haven't yet washed them or blocked them or worn them, so I want to give you a full overall review. But as I've been saying as I've been knitting them, really love this yarn. It's almost got a velvety feel to it, but still feeling hard wearing. And I love the stripe pattern, how it goes. Yeah, there's a little, obviously the silver is thinner, but then there's a difference between the plum and the charcoal. I love the hand dye look of the colours, and it knitted up really, really well. So next time I'll give you the full review with a wear report as well if you like. So these were knit on the Vanilla Bean Stripy Sock pattern, which is by Emily O'Grady, and I chose to do that pattern specifically as part of the Juniper Grace knit along that she's doing. I believe that actually finished yesterday, so hopefully you entered if you were planning to. Hopefully I entered. Did I upload my photo? I better check that. So I just did that pattern on the leg, and then I did regular stockinette down the foot. I did a Fish Lips Kiss heel, which is my go-to heel and that I absolutely love. And as you can see on this one, I extended the foot in terms of number of stitches, and I went too fast, and it's got a funny little floppy bit. But hey, I'm hoping maybe that will be the magic formula for my socks. That was one of my goals this year, to find what works best for my foot for socks. And on these I cast on 60 stitches, which is good to fit around my ankle. I believe I stood at the heel on 60 because I forgot I wanted to increase, so that's, as you can see, quite a bit narrower before the width increases. And then I've got 68 for the foot. I only intended it to be 66 and I marked up my increases, as you know, as I've mentioned before. But hey, maybe it was meant to be and that will be my perfect socks. We will see. I'll let you know next week. And this sock blocker is from Tesla Knits on Etsy. Sort of PVC, very easy. And we do have a pair of those to give away in a future giveaway, so watch this space. I mentioned that I had been sick almost 2 weeks ago and that I got a bit of knitting done. So what I chose to knit on was a cardigan for my little niece. So a few episodes ago she was on and we showed some yarn that she'd chosen, which was some Felici self-striping. I decided not to use that because with the self-striping yarn I'd rather keep it for something that's going to definitely show the stripes. And I thought for the cardigan that I was going to make, it might have not kept them in stripes and then be a bit of a waste. I'm sure it still would have looked lovely. But what I decided to do instead was to use some other Knit Picks yarn, but in the non-self-striping, just in the solid colourway, and in similar colours but not quite the same. So this is the project bag she chose, which is from Little Skein in the Big Wool. Gorgeous French patisserie sort of fabric. I love Little Skein's bags. And the yarn I decided to use was Knit Picks in the Stroll Brights. Oh, sorry, there's some light coming in. The rain has cleared somewhat. Stroll Brights and Stroll Fingering. So it's all the Stroll brand, but just different colourways. So we've got Vibrant Violet. That one is Hot Tamale. And then we've also got Dogwood Heather, and I'll show you all those colours now. So the pattern I'm using is the Kitty Vertebrae, not Kitty Vertebrae as Prairie Girl Susie once thought Prairie Girl Danny was saying. Kitty Vertebrae, and this is what I've got so far. I've done the whole body. So there, that colour's a bit better, not having the light directly on it. So the purple and the orange in the stripe are from the Stroll Brights collection, which are the Knit Picks, not fluoro colours, but yeah, sort of fluoro neon colours. And then the Dogwood Heather is that pinky peachy colour. And as you can see there, it's the heathered colourway, whereas the other two are solid. The reason I started this is obviously I was planning on knitting a little cardigan for my niece, and I just really felt like doing something completely different, but that didn't involve too much thinking because I wasn't feeling well. So this was a brilliant pattern. I cannot recommend it enough. It's a paid for pattern, but it's so worth the money. It so clearly outlines everything you need to do, depending on what weight of yarn you're using, what you're choosing to make, what size. Really, really informative, well-written pattern, so I definitely recommend that. I also have the Mama Vertebrae, the adult version, which was kindly given to me by Ian Knits, and I do plan to make that for myself, and I assume for that there's going to be some more increasing on the waist, but maybe not, I don't know. Not to give away the secret sauce of this, but being a children's cardigan, it was very easy knitting. It's just once you get below the sleeves, it's just straight down, and then it's got a 1x1 rib on the bottom. So next I am going to do the sleeves. Oh, and I swatched for this too. I'll show you as proof. Not a huge swatch, but a swatch nonetheless. So the lovely Mel, Ski Knits of the With Mel podcast and blog, she has a video all about swatching, and you have to go and watch it because Mel is wonderful to watch in all circumstances. But this is particularly funny because she's talking about the S word. She's calling it, you know, euphemistic names. So using your practice experimentation swatch. It's very funny. So Mel, I swatched. It's not quite as big as you would have hoped, I'm sure, but I at least did. So I'm really loving this beautiful purple colourway, even though it's a solid commercial dyed, so you're not getting the lovely gradation that you usually get in a hand dye that I really like. It's still a beautiful colour, purple, I think. So that is going really well, and hopefully next time I'll have some sleeves to show you. A few episodes ago I showed you a knit night shawl that I made for my cousin, and she loved it, and it's gone to Japan, and here's a lovely photo of her wearing it amongst the cherry blossoms. And her little boy, who is 3, tried on the scarf and he really liked it too, so I've decided to make him one as well. I'm not going to do the picots as I did on the one for my cousin, because I figure even at 3 he wouldn't mind them, but I'm hoping it's something he'll want to keep and wear for many years, and maybe when he's a little bit older he might not find that quite to his taste. So this is the Knit Night Shawl by Louise Sass-Bangham. And I've got quite far, so it's a little bit squished up on the needles, but look at these colours. Isn't that gorgeous? Just so nice. This is No Maker's yarn, and a very appropriate colourway name, Wonder Woman. Thought that was a wonderful choice to use as part of our knit along. And it's on the fingering sock, but it's 80-10-10 merino cashmere nylon, so it's very fancy. So that's the ball, or the cake rather. You can see it's starting to do that weird thing that cakes do. But I just love these colours. I've had this yarn for a little while. I had another skein in, I think, the merino nylon base that I used for a pair of socks in what was then called Single Handed Knits, MSki Knits, previous blog name or podcast name. And it was one where you sent some sock yarn to your partner. And I was partners with Rose, who's our La Freniere, and so my socks were knit with mostly my yarn, and she sent me some for the heels and toes, and then similar, hers with mostly hers with heels and toes of my yarn, and that was also the Wonder Woman colourway. So I had 2 skeins of it, and this one's been sitting waiting, and I thought, perfect. I think these colours are fabulous. They also remind me of Lego, which I know Amanda of No Makers is very much into Lego as well, so No Maker's Wonder Woman, gorgeous yarn, knitting up really, really well. And as I said, I'm not doing the picots, but as you can sort of see, it gives a little hole at each of the spots instead of a picot. So I think this is really cool. And it extends or lengthens quite quickly. So I think that'll be nice. It'll be long and thin and good for wrapping around little necks. So very much enjoying this project. I love the Knit Night Shawl. I think it's really, really straightforward, again a very well written pattern. There is also instructions for beading. I'm obviously not going to do beading on a 3-year-old scarf, but that might be something I'll do in the future. I have a couple of upcoming cast-ons that I'm planning, the first of which is a knitted poppy flower. This is a little brochure that my mum got me from our local library, and there was a 5,000 poppy movement. I think that's happening in many other states and possibly other countries. For Anzac Day. So Anzac is an acronym that stands for Australia and New Zealand Army Corps. So back from World War I, when Australia and New Zealand sent troops off to fight in World War I and subsequent conflicts and wars as well. And the 25th of April is Anzac Day, which is, I guess, the equivalent of Memorial Day and Remembrance Day. So we have that as a public holiday here in Australia. And it's actually the centenary of the Gallipoli landing, Gallipoli being in Turkey, and it was one of the epic battles that have become part of Australia's war history and modern history. So it's quite a big, I don't say celebrated, a remembered event. And poppies are obviously the symbol, as they are for Memorial Day in November. So this I'm planning to make into a little brooch. Yes, how appropriate that I make a brooch. I'm covering it up because it is a free pattern, but just in case, because I'm not sure where it's sourced from. So those hopefully will be soon. And then I have balled up my yarn, ready to go. This is some of the yarn that Berry Colourful Yarning sent me to review. And I had lost this tag, and I was messaging with Michelle to get the details, but I found it, Michelle. So this is a new base that I'm going to trial to give some opinions on as to whether it will be covered in the shop. Yak silk and wool. So this will be my first time knitting with yak, so I'm very excited. And this beautiful red colourway didn't have a name, and I was told I could provide the name, which is exciting as well. I've decided to call it Themyscira. So Themyscira is the place where the Amazons come from in the Wonder Woman story, so Wonder Woman's home island. And it's a bit of a sort of a dusty red. It's showing up a bit more bluey red there. And I thought what the colour reminded me of is if Wonder Woman went back to Themyscira wearing her red boots, and Themyscira is a bit dusty, this would be sort of the colour her boots would show after that. So that was my thought process behind it. I'm going to be casting this on soon to make the Pebble Beach Shawlette by Helen Stewart, who does the Curious Handmade podcast, who's an Australian who lives in London. And that pattern was very kindly given to me by Kim, who is in Between Dreams, from the Stitch by Stitch video cast. And when Kim kindly bought it for me, she'd said she had it in her queue and that whenever we were both ready, we'd start it. So we're going to get going now. Nothing official, and if either of us go faster or slower than the other, it's no big deal. But that's going to be the next thing that I cast on as well. I've been very spoiled with acquisitions this week, so it's so nice to come home to parcels, isn't it? Or letters, of course, anything in the post that's not bills, but parcels are especially exciting. So Knitter Mama 7 sent me this gorgeous postcard, a bull moose from Wyoming. And as part of that, we were doing a little yarn swap. So as well as that lovely postcard, she sent me this wonderful bag of yarn scraps or minis for my Cozy Memories blanket. Very exciting. And she also sent me this gorgeous lavender sachet. It smells amazing as I just move it away. Beautiful. And look at this. I haven't taken it out of the wrapper yet, so I want to keep it safe. She found a rock in the shape of a heart and sent it to me. Isn't that amazing? Nature's heart. So very exciting. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Last week I showed you some yarn that Fairy Little Marsha sent me, and she told me when she posted that she'd left something out, so I got another little parcel from her. So I got some extra yarn and this very cool, I've gone completely blank. What are they called? You're screaming it at me, I know. It'll come to me in a minute. Anyway, some brooches. Isn't that cute? In my colours, very cute little groovy girl. And then chevrons. Remembered, thank you. This brooch is just amazing though. Look at that. Oh, trying to get the reflection. It's hand stitched. Just amazing. Little cross stitch brooch. Thank you so much, Marsha. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Can't wait to wear that. And I got this gorgeous card from Helen, HMGTT, on Revelry. It's this little teapot. And she sent me some yarns from Miss Click Clack, who's an Australian hand dyer. Sorry, trying to show the colours. And she also sent me some handmade chocolate from a wonderful Melbourne chocolatier. I don't have that to show you, that's gone. Very tasty. So thank you very much to everyone for all those wonderful yarns. It's wonderful. Everything's wonderful. I've been lucky enough to win some prizes lately as well. First off, the Wrapped in Wool podcast was running the Twu Wav knit along, and I was lucky enough to win that, and it was a pattern of my choice from Ravelry, and I chose a big DK shawl called the Vampire, which has sort of scalloped edges that look like a big vampire bat and hold it out as big DK size. The reason I eventually settled on that off my queue is because the yarn that the original project is knit from is Tosh DK, and I have a whole lot of Tosh DK that I did buy for a cardigan that I'm now rethinking. So I've got this lovely Tosh DK just sitting there in the tart colourway as well, the beautiful red. So I thought, yes, I would like that. So I hope to cast that on soon because I think that will be lovely for winter. I also very, very luckily won something from the 15 in 15 socks Valentine's knit along. And I kind of got two prizes for that. One is a sock package surprise that Anya is going to be sending me, so that's fun. And then very generously, Raven AK contacted Anya and said she'd like to also provide something to me for a prize. And I chose a sock pattern from the, oh gosh, I've gone blank, Louise Tilbrook collection. Sorry, gosh, blank, blank, blank. And I chose the Green Gables sock pattern. So I was originally attracted to that one for the name, Green Gables, as Anne of Green Gables, but the socks look really good, so I hope to get those on at some point as well. So thank you everyone involved with all those prize draws, and yay, so exciting. And another pattern that I bought for myself is the Handbrake Cowl. And if you watch the Bakery Bears podcast, you will know all about that one. That was designed by Kay and Dan of the Bakery Bears, and it's only being sold for £1, which in Australian money converts to about $2, so maybe $1.50 or so in American dollars. And all that money goes directly to cancer research because, as you're probably aware if you watch the podcast, Dan was diagnosed and treated for cancer recently, and that's obviously a cause now near and dear to their hearts. Now, it is to mine as well. I'm sure Mum won't mind my saying that she herself has been touched by cancer. She had a mastectomy, and then also later that same year, very sadly, is when my stepfather, her lovely husband, Ray, passed as well from cancer. So, yeah, a very, very important cause generally for everyone, but I know a lot of people have been touched by that horrible, horrible disease, including my family very closely. So definitely one I encourage you to go out and buy. As I said, very, very cheap price that will all go to cancer research, and a great cowl pattern, and one that I'll be casting on soon to make for Mum. It just seems appropriate because of where the money's going, but more specifically, I had been planning on making her a nice cowl or something for her birthday, which is in June. And I bought, as part of the yarn muling that Jana so kindly sent me, was some Knit Picks worsted in that beautiful bright purple colour that I was showing you earlier, that I'm knitting my niece's cardigan with, because my mum had said that she really loved that purple colour. So she has no idea that one's coming to us, so I can't wait to make that for her and give her. And there'll be lots of lovely photos of that one coming soon. Now, you know that I've got things that I really like and I talk about them. I like to share them with all of you, and we get to know each other, and I like to hear about what you like as well, so that's exciting. Now, one of my very, very dear friends that I have met through knitting, #BecauseOfKnitting, is Jana, who's Jana Nav, and she's been lucky enough to go on a whole lot of trips overseas this year. And she has also kindly been my yarn mule. Now, Rose Alafrenia that I mentioned earlier, she has previously been my yarn mule as well, because Knit Picks in America used to only ship to America. Now, note I said used to. They now ship to Australia. It's amazing. And I don't know if they're shipping to any other countries, so let me know. Are they coming now to the UK or anywhere else? Don't know. But selfishly, I'm very excited because they're now shipping to Australia. But prior to that happening, Jana has muled me several orders of Knit Picks, and I've actually been very good and put them all away already, so I don't have those to show you, but I'll show you as I use them in projects. And some of them were the ones that I'm knitting my niece's cardigan out of, so the Stroll Brights, the purple and the orange, and the Dogwood Heather peachy pink. So thank you very much, Jana, for that. But she spoiled me completely with buying me things throughout her travels. So amazing. So first off, when she was in England, Shakespeare's tea. I haven't even opened it yet because I left it all to show you guys. So I'm going to have a cup of this straight after I record. So beautiful English breakfast with the man himself on the box. So beautiful box as well that I will definitely be keeping afterwards. She went to Mexico. Frida Kahlo tile. Amazing. So cool. Oh, I would love to go there because they've got the Frida Kahlo Museum and her house, and one of my definite bucket list dreams. She went to Kauai in Hawaii. Sorry, I'm trying to pronounce it properly based on what Mel, again, Emski Knits, says, because Mel used to live in Kauai, and that's where Jana went. So she's got me this awesome luggage tag in red hibiscus, and this is really handy because, as I said, I travel usually every 6 months or so for work, and every time I get my suitcase out the night before to pack, and I go, oh, I don't have a luggage tag, and then I'm scrounging around for something, and I think at the moment I've got one of Sophie's old doll dresses is tied to the handle of my suitcase so that I can see which one's mine. It's sad. And every time I go, oh, I should get something proper. Now I have it. So thank you, Jana. She sent me this gorgeous little sheep. It's a little tea bag holder. He's got little feet there. So cute. And I think this is from Seattle. And also from Seattle is this beautiful brooch. How cool is that? And it says, we design and handcraft each piece at our studio on North Creek, a little north of Seattle. It's a wonderful handmade. Thank you so much, Jenna, for spoiling me. Very, very exciting. Thank you to everyone who sent me things. Oh, it's so nice. Thank you, everyone. And now I've got something different for you, and we're going to do a review. So as I mentioned with my finished objects, next week I'm going to do a full review of the turtle pearl yarn that I was sent. But this week I've been sent some patterns by Maria, who is Elegant Economy Knits. This is the card here. This is a really good hefty size card because on the back it's got some measuring helpers, so that's really, really good. So I first came across Maria's designs last year when she released the graceful pullover, which I have spoke about on the podcast. That was a little girl's sweater, or jumper as I would call it here in Australia, that had beautiful cable work down the front. And the reason that was promoted so heavily was for a sad reason. A friend of Maria's very suddenly lost her husband and the father of her children. I think she has 4 children, and sales of the graceful pullover were donated to the family. So that was a wonderful project to get behind, as well as getting a wonderful pattern, though for a sad reason. But Maria has been continuing her design extraordinariness and has released a complete set of 5 patterns called Date Night. And as I said, she has very kindly sent them to me for review. So they're in booklet form, which is very cool. And I'll talk you through some of them. And she sent me some of yarn samples to go with them as well. So first off, my impressions overall are that the layout of these booklets is awesome. It's really, really well done. Obviously, if you get the digital set online through Ravelry, it'd just be as a PDF. But in terms of the physical book, they're really good. For example, you've got a picture of the front there, and the back of the booklet has the back of the item. And I just really like that it shows you front and back, mirroring the book as well as the item. So first up is the mill wrap. Now I just listened to the most recent episode of the Actually Knitting podcast with Michelle, or audio podcast fabulousness, and she said this one was one of her favourites, and she'd like to make it for her mum, and I agree, I'd love to make this for my mum. So the yarn that this is knit with for the sample is Knit Picks Gloss Fingering in the Bear colourway. So these are the ones that you can buy if you want to dye up yourself, but obviously that you can use, sorry, that is washing it out completely. There we go, it's a bit better. Something that you can use just as this beautiful natural colour. So that's that one. It's got really nice feel, and this is quite a well-priced yarn. So to make this project, which as you can see is quite a big piece, that would be quite economical to use that yarn. Obviously you can use any yarn you like. Now I'm not going to show you any of the insides because obviously the patterns are enclosed in the pattern booklet. But what I really like is that they're really well laid out. The way that you start at the beginning of the pattern and just work your way through step by step, really very easy. So I could see that this would be a project I definitely would be keen to make for my mum, because couldn't you imagine mum wearing this? She'd be so cute. So that's the first one. And I just mentioned then the graceful pullover, which was the child's jumper, sweater, that Maria designed last year. And there was so much great feedback about how nice that was to wear, that she's made an adult version, which is part of this collection, and this one's called the Peaceful Pullover. And the yarn used for this one is by Wandering Wool. And it's this beautiful colour. Let me just flip inside and I'll see. I assume it will tell us the colourway name. Sand Dune. So lovely, lovely. That's coming up a little bit more yellow than it is, so it's definitely more of a sand colour. And you can see there it's got those beautiful cables and then lovely stitching detail down the back. So this would be great if you wanted to do the matchy-matchy cowl that the Knitmore girls have going, because you could make the adult one and get the graceful pullover to make a child one as well, if that was something you're interested in. So that looks lovely and very comfortable and cozy, but also with some good style as well. This one I really like because it's got a really interesting neck detail. This is the Crabtree cardigan. That's the back there. And I just love that neckline. It's got your high neck, but then it opens up here. And I think that would be really good for Perth winters, because it does get cold for how we feel cold, but it's not as cold as it gets in cold places. So this would be really good because you'd have the protection of your neck here, but then by having that open you wouldn't overheat. So I think that would be really good. So I'm quite keen to look at perhaps making this one for me. Don't know if it's going to happen for this winter, but something I could definitely aim for next if not. And this one is made with Infinite Twist yarn. Infinite Twist you might have heard of on other podcasts or on blogs. They're based in China and use ethically sourced workers. It's a way of providing income to women who would be unable to support themselves or their families. And they do some hand spinning, so as well as some commercial spun and hand dyed. But these are some beautiful colours that these samples can be made of. So the sample here is made with the purple. But look at those beautiful colours, aren't they gorgeous? Sorry for the reflection. But yes, I really, really like this one. And you can see on the back here, I really like that detailing that sort of V's out. So I think that would be good. And almost as a coat, as well as a cardigan. I guess a cardigan for, yeah, colder places, and definitely a good coat to wear here in Perth. The Irving cardi is a nice, very relaxed piece. Got lovely detailing on the back, different stitch pattern there. And that is made in the sample, Rain City Knits. Now this is a silk merino DK. Gorgeous blue colour there. Oh, doesn't that show up just so beautifully? The colourway name of that one is navy blue. It's great. And yeah, I think this would be a really nice wearable piece. For myself, I prefer cardigans that go up a bit, but that's just my own taste. But I think this is a really nice, simple but classic design. It'd be really good. And yeah, you can wear it open here, or you could wear a scarf or cowl. So I think it'd be really quite versatile. That's what I'm looking for. And the last one is the Kildare cowl, and that one's a special leave it till last because that is Maria herself modelling this beautiful cowl, and I believe that's her partner as well. So the date night is true for them in this photo shoot. And I can't show you the back of this one because it's got part of the pattern on the back because it's a cowl. It doesn't really need to show you the back of a cowl, though it does a little bit. So let me just cover up here and you can just sort of see a smaller photo there of how it sits on your neck. So lovely striping. There it is again. And this one is made with the Copper Corgi yarn in the Mouse Grey Wedgwood gradient set. So this is part of the gradients, as you can see in the picture. There's a few different yarns there, and this is one of them, which is just beautiful. And yes, I think these would work really well together. So I was talking earlier about having a cowl or something with that one. You know, you could pair them together. I think would work really well. So yes, lots of really nice classic pieces, as well as some things that are a little bit different, and they're the ones that I really am drawn to. So for my mum, as I said, I definitely really want to make her that. I think that's really elegant but also easy to wear. And then for myself, I really like that one with that interesting neckline. Maria has very kindly, as well as given these to me, given you a set as well. So I'm going to have a thread open in the Ravelry boards, and you can go there, 1 entry per person. You must be a member of the group to win. Tell me, what's your version of a perfect date? Now, I use that as a little bit of a joke from the movie Miss Congeniality, where one of the beauty contestants is asked to describe your perfect date, and she says, oh, April 26th. So if you'd you'd like to tell me your actual favourite date of the year, that's fine too. But what I mean is, because it's called the Date Night Collection, tell me your perfect date. But that doesn't have to be a romantic date. That can be a play date with your friend, you know, play date that you say for kids, but a date, a catch up with your friend, or a time with yourself. So just something that you would describe as something lovely, where you could imagine being comfortable and cozy in any of these lovely designs. And it doesn't have to be with anyone else. It can be just with yourself or whomever you choose. So go there and have an enter. Have an enter? That doesn't make any sense at all, but you know what I mean. Go there and enter for your chance to win. Maria will send the patterns directly to the winners, so you'll get them just straight to your door. And I'll be keeping that open until the end of May. So go and have a look and check out the patterns as well online if you're interested in buying prior to trying to win, but otherwise you can buy them afterwards. And thank you very much, Maria, for sending those for review. She also sent me some very kind gifts, which I'll quickly show you. This wonderful big project bag. And this is great because I've been thinking recently that I don't have what would be called a sweater-sized bag. So it's a lovely drawstring. Because, as I said, I would like to make the mama vertebrae for myself, or for Sophie as well. Now that she's seen the one I'm making my niece, she's keen for me to make her one. So that's great. I now have a large project bag. And she also sent me some very cool sparkly red nail polish. How did she know I liked red? So thank you, Maria, and I hope everyone got something out of that review. Go on into the contest and check them out on Ravelry. So something that literally spun me out this morning was waking up and remembering, oh yes, you got all your hair cut off yesterday. So as you may notice, my hair is a little bit shorter than it used to be. So for the last couple of weeks I've been thinking, oh, I'd like to get something different done with my hair. And I had those sort of short, like my hair was down to about there before, I think. And then I had some shorter bits here and I thought, maybe something a bit shorter at that length. And then I thought, no, let's just go shoulder length, get it all cut off. So it feels so much healthier. I think because I dye it red, I was getting quite a few split ends, but really liking it. So thank you to everyone for your lovely comments on Instagram. Now bear in mind that this has been professionally blow dried and straightened and whatnot, so we'll probably never see it look like this again because I can never get it to look like the hairdresser does it. But hopefully I can get it looking in a semblance of nicety. We'll go from there. But yeah, it's bizarre when you brush your hair because the brush suddenly goes, oh, there's no hair left. So anyway, that's something that I'm quite enjoying. It's quite freeing. I've had long hair most of my life. I did have short hair for a little while, actually when I first moved to Japan. So when Damien and I met when I moved back from Japan, my hair was probably about this length, so full circle coming around again. I have had some very kind mentions on some other podcasts, and they're podcasts that I really like, so that was extra exciting. So on a recent episode of Dark Matter Knits, that I love because Elizabeth, who is the host, always does a technique segment at the end of her podcast, which is just great, as well as hearing about all her other work that she's doing. So she talked about some international podcasts that she liked, and I was so flattered that she chose mine as one to talk about. So thank you very much, Elizabeth, and I will put a link to Dark Matter Knits for everyone who hasn't yet found that podcast to go and check out. I also got a lovely mention on the Canadian Knitter podcast, so thank you very much. And we are going to be seeing some work on that podcast because Down the Rabbit Hole socks will be coming as part of our Pop Culture Knit Along. So thank you so much for your lovely kind words. It was very, very touching. The most recent episode of the Prairie Girls Knit and Spin was their Easter egg hunt, where they mention names of segments, music, that sort of thing of other podcasts, and you have to try and spot them. So I'm not going to give anything away as to what might be contained within, but let's just say I was very flattered and just squealing with excitement that I'd made it to being an Easter egg. Oh, so exciting. So yes, thank you very much to everyone for those. You can see that I really just get excited. And some other podcasts I've really been enjoying lately. One of them is Teaching Your Brain to Knit. That was recommended a couple of episodes ago by Michelle of Actually Knitting. And that's really, really good. It's got information about knitting, your brain, learning, as well as great info called Behind the Redwood Curtain, because it's recorded and was going to say filmed, but recorded in the north of California in an area with lots of redwood trees, and it just sounds amazing. Hemmed in by mountains and forest, and then the ocean. Just sounds wonderful. So I highly recommend that one. The ladies are up to episode 13, I believe, and I've now caught up. So I love listening to things all at once and binge listening or binge watching, but then it's that annoyance that, oh, I have to wait like everyone else now. But yeah, really, really fascinating. Really good knitting tips. And instead of saying, what's your work in progress, they say, what are you learning at the moment from your knitting? And I really like that way of thinking about it, of trying to find the positive spin even if things go wrong. So definitely recommend that one. There is also Skein and Abel, who is Michelle and Jill, and they're up to episode 2, and that one's really good fun. Another audio, and that one's, the ladies are in LA, so it's got a lot of sort of the LA lingo and that sort of thing, so I find that really interesting. And I've known Michelle on Instagram for a while, so it's fantastic to be able to hear her voice as well, so definitely recommend that one. It's great fun. Not a knitting podcast, but one called Adult Wednesday Addams. It's really funny. It's a lady who is an adult Wednesday Addams, and she goes about doing different things with a funny gothic Wednesday Addams twist to it. It's really, really funny. I recommend checking that out for a good laugh, and I just love her look as well. And another not knitting one, but a Perth-based one, is That Film Stew, and that one is filmed in Perth, not filmed, recorded, it's audio, recorded in Perth, and there are reviews of films and other pop culture things, and really, really recommend that one. I sort of know Luke, one of the hosts. He's a friend of Damien's, and really, really interesting, and I really like their view of things and how they review the movies and the pop culture references that they're drawing from, so definitely recommend that one as well. Audiobooks from the library I am really loving. So I've talked about having audiobooks because then you can still knit, and I do get things from audible.com.au, which is just the Australian version of Audible. I think it's all the same product available. But I really love being able to get things out of the library because it's obviously free. So I mentioned a couple of episodes ago that I'll be having Elizabeth Gilbert's The Signature of All Things as the book that I chose for my book club. So I'll be listening to that one soon, so I'll be able to review it, or, tell you about it. And then while I was looking through the library catalogue, I found some other books that I thought I'd get. And because you get a disc and you just download it to your computer to put on your MP3 player, it means I don't have to listen to all of these within whatever the borrowing period is. I think it's 4 weeks, which I think you'd have to do if you just borrowed the audio files or borrowed the ebook file from the library. I think it disappears after that time. So whereas with this, there's no rush because I can listen to it later. So I got The Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland, because I'm not sure if I've ever fully read these books. I know when I was younger I started reading them, but I'm not sure if I ever actually finished them. So I guess I'll find out. So looking at those. And now one of my, or probably my most favourite author is Haruki Murakami, who is a Japanese author that you may or may not have heard of. I so recommend his books. The translated versions, obviously, unless you speak Japanese, in which case, good luck to you and go for it. But wonderful, wonderful writing. Really, really different as well. Sometimes you finish a story and just kind of go, huh? Like it's and I don't mean that it's a cliffhanger, it's just really different, and he puts a very different spin on things, but fascinating writer, and I really, really recommend it. So check this out. Now this massive tome is not his most recent, but a recent few years ago book, and it's called 1984, but you can see here it's 1Q84. Now Q is not the letter, but that's the way you say the number 9 in Japanese, Q or ku. So that's sort of a take on that. So it's 1984, but 1Q84. And as you can see, this is massive, and it's actually quite heavy for me to hold up with my arthritis. So I got this book pre-getting arthritis, so it must have been out 3 or 4 years ago. And it's actually, the book is in 3 parts, part 1, 2, and 3, but this one contains all of them. So when I went to read it, I think for anyone it would be a heavy book to hold on your lap. So it's almost like you have to sit at a table and read it. So it's a bit difficult. And with my arthritis, it's sort of impossible. So I haven't actually finished reading that one yet, despite having it that long and despite really, really wanting to. But the library had the audio version. So I always buy all of his books because I've got a collection of all of them, and I will always continue to do so, whether I read the physical copies or listen to the audio. But I can't wait. I'm going to listen to the Signature of All Things first because book club is in a few weeks. But I can't wait to get into this because I remember the beginning of the book just loving it, and it's fascinating. Now, each of these packets contain 13 discs. So it's, you know, a long story, but I'm really looking forward to that. And while I was looking, they also had one of his other books that I have read, Blind Willow Sleeping Woman. But again, it's on audio, so I'd love to re-listen or re-envelop myself in that world. So yeah, loving that, and loving that that's all free, and I can't wait to get back into more stories. I really miss them, so that's very exciting. And the last thing I was going to mention, as well as a new haircut, I also have a new way of eating. I've decided to come there. And the last thing I wanted to mention is that I've decided to become a pescatarian, and that is like a vegetarian, but you still eat fish. So pesca, like the Italian or the Latin for fish. And the reason I've decided to go this path, I was sort of already, well, I wouldn't even say I was kind of a vegetarian, but I've always really preferred vegetarian foods and options. Often when I go to a restaurant, that's what I get. But in terms of what we eat at home, I'd often make things with beef mince and chicken, things like that, because they're easy to prepare. Most of the family likes it. I say most, Sophie's a bit fussy about everything. But I've always preferred vegetarian options. I love tofu, love all those sorts of things. And then I was watching Pink Hair Girl podcast, and I was just trying to think what episode number it was, but it was a couple of episodes ago. Her episode is called The Film That Ruined My Life. And what it is a documentary she saw that talks about the extreme greenhouse damage that animal husbandry, keeping animals for food production, on the global scale that it is done now, how damaging that is to the environment. And this is something that I sort of knew but didn't consciously think about, but it brought it back. And because I'd already been thinking about it, because I already eat a lot of vegetarian food, I thought, you know, there's actually something I'd like to do, is to stop eating meat and animal things that do cause damage to the environment. I think Australia's farming methods are much better than, for example, from what I understand, America's ones are, and that's what this film is about. I haven't actually seen the documentary, but based on what Sally Jane was saying. And so please don't anyone take offence. I'm not meaning anything about America or America's practices. I'm just saying it's different for how it is here in Australia. But having said that, it still causes environmental damage, or the greenhouse gases or the methane that the animals produce. So that's why I've decided to go pescatarian. But I've also had it pointed out to me, and I quite rightly so, that I could also eat kangaroo, because kangaroo meat is actually the best, most sustainable meat we have here in Australia, because they're animals that are already naturally there, they're not introduced. And also the microbe in the kangaroo's gut actually produces less methane, so it's actually just better generally. It's funny, my cousin sent me a link about that, and I wrote back to her saying, so the scientists involved in this research, their job was to smell the effects of methane production in animals and work out which was less. So that's a commitment to science right there. But anyway, I hope I haven't offended anyone. I'm not trying to be preachy, anything like that, just letting you know a decision that I've made. And I'm quite excited about it because, as I said, I eat a lot of vegetarian anyway, and so now this way I can just look into a few more different options, different fish things. My kids won't eat fish, so it's going to be a bit trickier for preparing meals, but I'll live with it. And it's all good, and yeah, that's what's swinging me around. And with that, I will say goodbye for this episode. I'm going to go and make some number 5 biscuits for my little nephew. So I have some cookie cutters in all the numbers, so every time it's their birthday, I make them cookies in the relevant number. My kids don't seem to care for that anymore, so I don't have to make a 19 or a 15 this year, but hey, that's all right, I might still do it anyway. Have a lovely couple of weeks before we see each other again. Come and say hello in the Ravelry thread, send me a message if you like. Join in the knit along or the spin along or the crochet along. Enter our competitions, the member draw, the one for the Elegant Economy Knits patterns. and have a wonderful couple of weeks, and happy crafting. Bye.